All right, I've tried something a little bit different today. I've done the work a little bit, but I've got everything mocked up so I can show you guys what's up. We're doing the mechanical fuel pump on my 1992 IDI. So, alternator, vacuum pump, and then head way the frick down there past the vacuum pump and underneath we have our mechanical fuel pump. So you have a few different connections to the mechanical fuel pump. First would be that brass nut. You gotta drive that all the way up. That is the pump up to the filter. Right behind it is the fuel line from the tank. So we're taking from that rubber hose and then we're pushing up to the fuel filter with that brass nut there. So what I had to do was pull the line from, so loosen that clamp there, pull the line from the truck, and this side of it goes back to the fuel lines. On the other side here, I'm about to push the line that I was just fiddling with to kind of point out where we're at. Hopefully you can see that. All right, so then you pull the nut from the back end of the fuel pump, and then the one from that front end there. And I've already got that pretty loose. Alright, removed that. And you don't want to do this when the engine is red hot, because right behind here is the oil reservoir. It's just with the truck parked up at an angle like this, can't really see the red. You're not really going to worry about the oil splashing on you. Whew. I hand tightened that a bit too hand tight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this, get that nut loose with the 5/8, and I'll be back at you. All right, so got that nut loose with the 5/8. Got her hand loosened now. You're gonna drip some diesel. Best thing to do is have some towel ready to go. Okay, so pull the fuel line out of the pump. Try to protect it as best we can. And now I'm going to push on the pump and break it loose. Nut. Okay. Time to research how to pull this pump after the bolts are loose. Back in a flash. Okay, catastrophe has abound. Took the little lady hammer there and gave her some quick taps. And that's how she popped off right there. So I'm going to extract this, lay her out, clean the mating surface, and continue our video here in just a minute. right, quick checkup here. This mating surface is a bear. This is a really hard one to clean. So, here I am with razor blade in hand. One part of my body on the outside of the truck and the left hand on the inside, just working away at this mating surface with the razor blade. There have been more comfortable periods in my life. Now keep in mind, as you're pulling these chunks off, whatever doesn't go into your hand and into your towel goes into the engine. Your engine can handle a few things, but if you break off this razor blade in there, I guarantee you there's problems. All right, check back in a bit. All right, update. That mating surface, I mean, I've went over it with the razor blade just tons of times. So I think what I'm going to do in order to make sure that I get a good go here is I'm going to use some gasket maker, and we'll go through that in just a bit. Okay, so we've resolved to use some gasket maker here. My kit from Delphi came with 2 gaskets, so I guess one to work with and one to screw up on. Here's my old pump. Something to note here, that seems to be off a blow-off section of the old pump, and I'm thinking once the pump fails, this is actually intended to blow off and start leaking some diesel to let you know that the pump ain't doing all that it should be doing. But at any rate, I've applied my gasket maker to this side of the pump, and then I'm going to put on the flange and apply it to the other side of the flange. So I'm going to have gasket maker on both sides of the flange, then what I'm going to have to do is, because these pumps rest like this, so my reveal is the same on both pumps, they're just a little bit different shaped. You have to see it at just the right angle. But my cam is pushing it down right now. So as I wedge this pump in, I'm going to have a loose fit on both sides of the gasket, and it'll kind of wedge up and in there as I tighten the bolts. So even if I had a completely clean mating surface, I'd probably still want my gasket maker on both sides of this gasket. So unfortunately I need 2 hands to mount this. So as soon as I can, I will turn this back on and give an update. All right, as most things are with this truck, we'll just kind of have to see if that made a good seal. I think the gasket maker made its way around both sides of our gasket, so we're triple gasket made. And I got the brass nut back on. Gonna cut the fuel line and get some new hose clamps, and then I'll be ready to test her out and see if I start shooting diesel everywhere. So I was kind of thinking I was dealing with an aftermarket part here, but here we have our little 25-cent hose clamp, actually made by Ford Motor Company 34 years ago, well, 35 years ago. So yeah, I'm gonna keep these clips. If they leak, then I'll replace them. I'll explain in a couple of minutes, but we actually have a very big danger of having wasted all our time today and me not having a truck for the next week because of how the fuel pump set in, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, all hooked up.
Got our tank connection. Got our fuel filter connection. Got it bolted to the body. Dropped my phone. Okay, so yeah, we're still recording. I'm gonna start this up and see if it works. Basically, as I was inserting the pump, I felt it kind of click to the side. So what I'm hoping that means is there's a cam on the crankshaft that pushes this fuel pump up and down. Hopefully, as I was sliding it in, I just went to the side of that cam on the crankshaft, and the thing is just sitting there kind of on the side cockeyed. That's my best case scenario. Worst case scenario is I miss the cam completely. When the engine turns, it's going to break the rod on the not a rod on my cylinders, but the rod on my mechanical fuel pump, and then I'm gonna have to take apart the engine and fish it out. So yeah, the next few moments will be really telling. A time like the present. Everything's connected and tightened. So, crank this sucker up and see what it gives me. All right, we're pretty warm, so the glow plugs will need all of 2 seconds here. All right. Well, that was to be expected. I didn't think we had any juice left. Well, we definitely, we had some diesel fuel sitting around. All right, I have a problem. See you guys in a bit. Hopefully it's not a big problem. All right, she just took some work with the old pedal. And I have to bleed some air out of here. We'll be able to tell real quick if this sucker is working. Don't do this at home. And as far as I know about this truck, if the mechanical fuel pump wasn't working, I wouldn't have pressured it. So, yeah, I'll probably have some choke ups because I know I got air in the fuel system now after doing that. But that should work itself out in about 10 minutes as soon as I get it up to speed. Right now, I have no diesel leaks. At this point, another successful day. I don't think I did anything wrong. Bought the right stuff. I'm rather impressed that it was this easy. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to put it to my head. It's like, oh, must have done something wrong. It was easy. All right. Thank you all. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe. Like my videos, you know, any sort of traffic there helps out. So, thanks. Have a great day.